All right, YouTube, Repo Man 64 out here in the secret broadcast cave. If you ever questioned whether or not the rapture's getting close and there's no way you can't see it, the earthquakes are just going crazy. People all over our country and around the world, honestly, are flooding out like the water has broke. This process that we're in. The sun is throwing solar flares off like crazy. This process we're in is called travail. We are in that period of time. The rapture is about to happen. I'm going to give you my take on it. Everybody has a take. Everybody has a piece of the puzzle, and everybody has information as to how they're calculating. From what I can see from watching as many videos as I have over the last week, September the 23rd, 24th appears to be their high watch day, and that's fine. I think personally, from what's on my timeline, that that is when the Antichrist will reveal himself, and I think the first seal will be opened on Halloween, October 31st. Um, I think that Kevin said something kind of really cool. He says, just when you think you know the date, I don't think I've ever seen anybody. I don't think I've seen as many YouTube channels jump onto this date as I have seen. It's the 8th year anniversary of the Revelation 12 sign. They're calling it the Feast of Trumpets. Of course, they're 10 days off because they're using the moon. The moon cycles 354 days. We know for a fact the sun comes up, you give it a date as 365, so 364. So, we're 10 days off from that aspect. So for me, September the 24th was and always has been the Day of Atonement. It's the day that Jesus began his ministry. It's the day that God sent us a sign in 2017. On that day, it will be 8 years. It's the day that I think the Antichrist is going to try to steal Jesus' thunder. And if we all knew, and we do, we know that Jesus began his ministry on the Day of Atonement. He was 40 days and 40 nights out in the wilderness, fasting, and then tempted of the devil. And when he got back, he began calling his 12 apostles, beginning his ministry. 3 days later, on the third day, he was in Cana, where he performed the very first miracle. That very first miracle was him turning water to wine. And I have the passage here, and I'll show you. I've been saving up screenshots for the past week, and we'll go through them right now and take a look to see my take on when I think we're going. Like I said, Kevin said something kind of profound. He said that when you think it is, it's going to be before that, which is good news. And everybody seems to be on this September the 24th. I've been saying for quite a while that I think that's when the Antichrist will reveal himself. And so, in order for that to happen, the rapture must happen first, the pre tribulational rapture. So, let me share my screen here. And like always, I got to move my picture up out of the way and hope that bar goes up, which it seems to never do on its own. Hold on one second. And it won't let me move it. Like there's nothing, there it is. Nothing I can do to grab it. It just goes up on its own. There it goes. All right. Now let's take a look at the screenshot. So very quickly, built this for the Jubilee cycle. When I found out that the Jubilee cycle was 49 years, I found out that there would be 123 Jubilee cycles. Also, I noticed while I was building this that we say, oh, it's in the 6,000th year. It is not. The period of time Jesus was here was a period of time when Satan would have complained, as well as the 6th month that God changed the head of the year, and as well as the time that Noah spent on the ark up here. He spent 1 year and 10 days. So, with that being said, we know now why the 10 days existed from the Feast of Trumpets to the Day of Atonement. From the Day of Atonement to Tabernacles, it's 5 days. Jesus performed his miracle after 3 days, meaning he began his ministry. He chose all of his people. 3 days later, he turns water to wine. 2 days after that would have been his birthday on the Day of Tabernacles. So we have trumpets, we have atonement. 10 days later, we have tabernacles. 5 days later, we have the the wedding at Cana. 3 days after atonement. So once again, when we go through all of this, all the math that we have done, we find that on September the 24th, mathematically on September the 24th in 2032, this is when it all ends. 30 days later and 45 days later, we wind up on December the 8th. Now, I noticed some math that when I go 30 days prior, this is Apophis, it's right in the center. And David the Watchman found that if you go 1,260 days in one direction, you land on atonement. If you go 1,260 days in the other direction, you land on the day of the flood. The Bible specifically talks about these two, but it also talks about a 1290. And if you go 30 days further back, you will wind up on Jesus' birthday on September the 30th. And then if you go another 45 days back from Jesus' birthday, you wind up on the day that Jesus went out into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. I haven't put that on here, but 30 days back, tabernacles. 45 days prior to that. So we have symmetry. And then 45 days prior to that, you wind up on August 15th, which is Elul 1 back in here. And that's when, it'd be right around in here. And that's when Jesus began his ministry. So let me keep going forward here. I found a lot of symmetry and I found several dates. I can't pin down a date per se yet. We can pin down this date as the date the Antichrist will reveal himself. Because remember, Jesus is tempted for 40 days. Jesus is baptized and he starts that 40-day fast. He did not begin his ministry here. He went out into the wilderness, fasted for 40 days, 40 nights, tempted of the devil. And then here on September the 24th is the day that Jesus begins his ministry. 3 days later, Jesus turns water to wine. Now, I want you to notice this. I don't know if you can see this or not, but neither can I actually. But if I zoom in any closer, we lose. Those are dirty. Hold on a second. It's day 195. That's day 195 of the year, starting the year on March 17th, or Nisan 1. Doesn't matter which you use. You want to use Nisan 1? That's fine. Jesus turned water to wine on Tishri 13. That's the day he did it. Tishri 13. That's day 195 of the year. Now, if we count back, I believe it was 70 days. Yeah, if we count back 70 days, this is, let's see, 195. This is new wine. According to the Dead Sea Scrolls, new wine happens on the 3rd of Av. They would have begun drinking new wine on Pentecost at sunset, right in here, and the whole day would have been new wine. And then we have day 125 right here, and that comes down to 195. 70 days. 30 days after new wine. Let me see if I can remember this. 30 days, 154, 150. So from the day that Moses throws down the tablets, I hear a dog that we don't own. Sounds like the neighbor's dog is over here. The day that Moses throws down the tablets, on the day Aaron dies, he dies on the 1st of Av. You can look it up. He died on the 1st of Av, the first day of the 5th month. He was 123 years old. From Day 122 of the year. Remember, Nissan 1 is always Nissan 1. You count it out. It'll be day 122. On my timeline, it's July 16th. When you go from 122 and you add 70, you land here on the Day of Atonement. There's this 84-hour discrepancy, or not discrepancy. Uh, it's blatant. It's right in your face. This 84-hour difference between the Day of Atonement and the day Jesus turned water to wine, and an 84-hour difference between when Moses throws down the tablets on the very, well, not the same day, a different year. Would have been the same day. I don't recall what year he threw down the tablets, but on the same date, we'll say, the tablets were thrown down. Aaron dies at 123 years old. Um, when you go one, two, and three, you wind up at the end of the Feast of Wine, according to the Dead Sea Scrolls. And then you go down here, Jesus turns water to wine. Now, there's some math in between the two. When Jesus is baptized, it is 30 days after the tablets are thrown down. It's almost like a second Passover kind of type thing. 30 days, 152. And then from 152, it's 40 days to 192 on Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, where Jesus begins his ministry. And then, of course, we have, like I said, 3 days up here and 3 days back here, 84 hours in between when Jesus turns water to wine. So in between, there's this math that goes on. So high watch days for me, I believe we've already passed the Feast of New Wine. We've already passed Tisha B'Av, however they say that, Dove and Raven on July 25th. We've already passed that. We are quickly coming up on Tu B'Av. Now, Tu B'Av is the day that they picked the bride out in the field. Brides went around. I don't recall if they were blindfolded or not, but the men went out, grabbed themselves a bride. And that's day 136 of the year. And so that's July 30th, Tu B'Av, and that is a very high watch day for me. The next day as well, Av 16, is the day that the dove returns with an olive branch. And that would be July 31st. So I don't have anything after that until August the 6th. On August the 6th, Av 22, the dove is released and does not return. And then it goes quiet for 10 days. At the end of these 10 days is the day Jesus was baptized on Elul 1 and fasted for 40 days, went out in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. So we got a high watch day there. Then the timeline goes quiet after August 15th. It goes quiet until the first day of creation, Elul 28, September the 11th, is the first day of creation. Many will try to tell you that creation began on Tishri 1. This is not true. If that were true, you notice I count every single Hebrew date all the way down here. And if you go by any other timeline, if you go by their timeline and you begin counting forwards or backwards, you will not wind up with the flood on Heshvan 17. You won't wind up with Yom Kippur on Yom Kippur on Tishri 10. You won't wind up with tabernacles as Tishri 15 when Jesus is born. Israel was attacked on October the 7th plus 13 hours. You have Tishri 22 on October the 6th. So the timeline still stands. I sent it to Dr. Ken Johnson, and I got no response. I've sent this everywhere that I could think of, and people just don't respond to it. I would love to debate this timeline with them, because whatever date they start off with that's not March 17th, that would mean the flood happened on October, Heshvan 17, true, but November the 3rd makes no sense. Jesus would not have been conceived. Where'd it go? Jesus would not have been conceived on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. He would have been conceived on December the 27th, 28th. Makes no sense. None. It would make no sense for any of that to be true or exist. Adam, if you move everything, Adam would not have been kicked out of the garden after Hanukkah was over, which ended on December the 14th, on the first day of the, what is that? Seven, eight, first day of the ninth. Is that ninth month? Is that uh, eighth month? Seventh month. Sorry about that. Seventh month. All right. So the eighth month, Heshvan. Heshvan. Hold on a second. Heshvan's the eighth month, the ninth month. Yeah, so that would be Heshvan is 10th month, the first day of the 10th month. I apologize. It took me a minute to remember that. So there's a lot of math that went into this. And if you move it by one day using the equinox, using the sliver moon, you won't be able to either count every day the sun comes up and give it a date, or if you use the equinox, you will land on a Gregorian date that makes no sense. And I believe that God had his hand in the Gregorian calendar as well. So, we've got a lot of dates we're coming up: July 30th, July 31st, August 6th, August 15th. And then we have the whole time of creation all the way to here, when I think the Antichrist will be revealed on September the 24th, the day of the Revelation 12 sign. It did not happen on September the 23rd. It was the night of the 23rd. It was the 24th. That's when it happened. That's when the moon was actually under her feet. It actually, the moon winds up under her feet at exactly midnight right here in Israel. Exactly. So, uh, wouldn't have been the 23rd. And then, of course, that at that point, I believe this is when the seals begin to be open, is October the 31st right here. So let me keep going here. Let's see what we got. We know that dispensationally, for the most part, excuse me, dispensationally, let me get a drink. I'm taking these antibiotics that really are messing me up. I got 7 more days and it's over with. Hopefully we can just go to heaven and then it'll really all be over with. All right. We know dispensationally that the book of Luke is speaking predominantly to the bride. We are not looking for the Antichrist. We are not looking for the sun to be darkened, the moon to turn to blood. This is exactly what we're looking for. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. And I think all that began with the Revelation 12 sign and all the other things that we've seen, the X over the United States, all that stuff. And upon the nation, distress of nations. Sorry, and upon the earth, distress of nations. Which, quite frankly, I mean, there was another war just broke out. Who was it? It was Thailand or something. It was like, wow, that was crazy with perplexity and the sea and the waves roaring. That's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for the seas and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing for fear. And then down here we read, and when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your eyes, for your redemption draws near. I think the hearts failing them is the rapture that occurred. And many people who thought they were going don't go because they added that little tiny bit of leaven that they were warned not to. Now, Tu B'Av, like I said before, lands on July 30th. Something very interesting happens from May 14th, 1948. I think I heard this on Steve Fletcher. I did the math. And July 30th means nothing to anybody but me. To me, it's Tu B'Av, or anybody that follows this timeline. May 14th, 1948, 77 years and 77 days, lands on July 30th, 2025, Tu B'Av. Remember, Tu B'Av, that's the day that they go out into the field and find themselves a bride. That's right here, Tu B'Av, July 30th, Av 15. So I have a lot more to show you. I have to keep coming back to that. All right. Now I was listening to another channel, and he was talking about from May 14th, 2025, if you add 120 days, you'll land on September the 11th. Now, let me see here. September the 11th is a little 28. It is the first day of creation. 911 is when the towers came down. Satan will always, this is kind of a hint that Satan is going to attempt to take over where God creates, Satan destroys. He's coming in, and I think September 11th, yeah, is a high watch day. It's exactly 120 days given on demand, 120 days, it says. And then here we are. Maybe that was what that verse was speaking to, from Israel becoming a nation to September the 11th. That was very interesting. Whoa, this guy. This guy, I'm just promoting his channel. You got to take care of your hair, dude. You got to take care. You got to take. Uh, I'm. I said I wasn't gonna get on here and pick on him. He's a really great guy, and he's very passionate, and he loves the Lord. And he is looking at September the 23rd, 24th, and this is his YouTube. His hair looks good here. What are you doing? I guess he's just wore out from studying the Bible. Sorry, that's mean. I said I wasn't going to say anything, but I can't help it. He's Talayan Desalane. His name is Talayan Desalane, and very good channel. And he's very passionate, and he does a really good job on his YouTube. Sorry, bro, I didn't mean to pick on you, but I just had to. Uh, I'm gonna stop. Okay. All right. What does this say? Yes, the Gospel of John 2, 1 through 11 describes a wedding in Cana of Galilee occurring on the third day. People have wrestled with this for a very long time. It's simple. It was his first miracle. He had just got out from uh, starving himself for 40 days and 40 nights. You don't come back, eat a hamburger, and everything's okay. It takes a couple of days before you can actually do. You wouldn't even be able to drink wine at that point. You know, it would literally mess you up after 40 days of not eating. There's no way you could do it. At least I don't think. I don't drink, so I don't really know where Jesus performed his first miracle by turning water to wine. So what do? We always go to the Bible. Just because somebody says it on Google, we got to find it in the Bible. The third day. Now, if you read John 1 at the end of it, you'll see that it's talking about him being out there for 40 days and 40 nights, him being tempted by the devil, him beginning to call his apostles. He does that over the course of probably 84 hours. And then he shows up at this wedding in Cana where his mother says, hey, can you turn it? He might say something to his mother like, what do I have to do with thee? But Jesus is a son. And if his mother has asked him to turn water into wine, not only does she believe he will and can, somehow she already knew that he had received his power. I'm guessing she saw the dove land on him. I'm guessing she hadn't seen a miracle from him yet. It's not like she knew, but it must have been that she had inside information. She was right there with him. She knew that he was going to be able to perform this miracle. And he does. And we don't know if this is in levity, if they're joking around here. What do I have to do with you, mom? But, we could look at any situation that presents itself to us, and we can either take a negative connotation from it or a positive connotation. You can look at the negative side of it, or you can look at the positive side of it. John MacArthur, this drives me nuts. You can't look at the negative side of it. You can't. John MacArthur was what do they call him? Kingdom. I don't even recall the name. He sowed leaven into his works. Okay. What right do we, after this man spent 50 years of his life preaching the word of God as he understood it, what right do we have to come behind him after he dies? After he kingdom worship, I forget the name of what he was. They assigned a name to him, but after he dies, then we have the audacity to come in and say something about him. But he wasn't saved. He's a tribulation saint because he taught this and that, and I'm like, do you have any idea how many people did an altar call because of this guy? How many people realized after a while that, wait a minute, it's by faith. It doesn't matter. They made the altar. They begin to realize it's by faith. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you can't judge every situation you see because you kind of put yourself at risk to being a tribulation saint yourself because you're almost saying John MacArthur is not in heaven because John MacArthur was works based. Let's say he was works based. We don't know that. We can't say that. Where do we get off saying it? Have you ever looked in the mirror? We can't say stuff like that. I would never say anything like that about John MacArthur. Not in a million years. I would say anything. That guy has saved more. God has used him, let's say, to save more people than I'll ever dream of. If you're going to make that argument, let's go all the way back to the very beginning when the apostles began. And there was this huge argument between Peter and Paul. Peter was saying, "Oh, you guys have to become circumcised. You have to become Jews in order to be saved." And Paul was like, "What are you doing?" No, they don't. Salvation's by grace and grace alone. Are you saying that Peter is a tribulation saint? That he wasn't actually saved, Peter, because based on what he said, you see what I'm saying? Based on what he said, he is a tribulation saint. Will he be resurrected to recognize that he was wrong on the day of the rapture? Will there be a bunch of people resurrected on that day? If we say no, then we're saying that he was saved back then, but he's waiting for his glorified body at some point into the tribulation. And then to make that argument, we would have to say that people go into the tribulation that are saved. We can't make that argument because we read in John where no, in fact, saved people do not go into the tribulation. They become saved after the tribulation begins. And I get this cold shoulder from people like, well, they messed up. You're telling me that Peter is not going to, he's going to the lake of fire because he had a little bit of leaven in there. But these people after the rapture, they get a whole different, there's a whole different card game for them. They do get the opportunity to accept the Lord. Now, that's where the great multitude that no man can count come from. So 2 to 3, because a lot of people have done the math on this. I've seen it's 2030, 2, 3, 20, 30. That's got to be at 6 water pots, but it's not. I went in and looked it up myself. It's 18 to 27 US gallons. And by the way, the United States and 2 other countries are the only countries on the face of the earth that use gallons. Every other country on the face of the earth uses liters. So lucky us, right? Lucky us that all this math worked out in English. It's not 20 to 30 US gallons. It's 18 to 27. It's actually 9 US gallons for 2, a firkin? So, but I did look at this as a whole, and I see the 6 month, which is Elul, and I see the 18th through the 27th, which is very interesting numbers, right? It's excuse me, very interesting numbers that it comes up to if you just look at the plain amount of water turned to wine here. Elul 18 through 27. So I just wanted to show you what the Bible says. This beginning of miracles did Jesus in Cana and manifested forth his glory, and his disciples believed on him. This was the first miracle he did. He did it 3 days after he started his ministry. He started his ministry on the Day of Atonement, and he did this miracle 3 days later, 2 days before his birthday on Tabernacles. He was not born on Tishri 1, and Tishri 1 is not September the 11th, it's September the 15th. So Jesus was born on he came to Tabernacle. It's that simple. Now, I saw a teaching where they were like, it's 177 days. It is 177 days if you're following the moon, but you still can't get from the triumphant entry on March 26, which is Nisan 10, to the Day of Atonement, 177 days. It won't work. It's September the 24th, or what was it? It was Tishri 10. Tishri 10. Yeah. Nisan 10, Tishri 10. Exactly 182 days, 364 days in a year. It's perfect. That's the amount of time in between. If you say it's 177, you got to make 5 days disappear somewhere. It doesn't work like that. That's not how. All right, he put on a hat. I don't know why I took this picture. All right. So again, subscribe to him. He's doing a really good job. I'm just picking on him, I guess. I don't know why I took this second picture. I think I wanted a better picture because I didn't want to tease him, but then I forgot to take out the other picture, and because this picture was a lot better with the hat on, you know. I don't know. Listen, my grandson's black. Okay, that hair, you can't just treat it like that. You have to work that hair. That hair is not like my hair where I can just do this. It's not like that kind of hair. There's special products that have to be put into that hair to treat it properly. It's not, you just don't grow that hair. You have to treat it. I'm gonna nickname him Absalom. I gotta stop picking on him. I'm gonna get in so much trouble for people who love that guy. Yom Kippur. Okay, so I'm noticing here that in 1947, that Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, landed correctly. Every now and again, it lands correctly. The Day of Atonement is on the night of the 23rd, coming to the 24th. I showed you that. That's when it actually is. That's when it always is. It never changes. So, and I wanted to show you this again. I showed you this before. Every single day of the year has a time span. This is how much daylight exists on this day. It always exists. We know that August 15th, the day Jesus was baptized and began that 40 days, there will always be 13 hours and 18 minutes of sunlight and some change. 13 hours, 18 minutes of sunlight. It never, ever, never, ever, ever changes. This is August of 2025. This is August of 2600, 600, almost 600 years from now. August 15th, the day Jesus was baptized, began that 40 days, 13 hours and 18 minutes. It never, ever changes. So to say that the Day of Atonement or the day Jesus began his ministry changes its day every year because of the moon, this is the amount of time assigned to this day. It can't be changed. It can never be changed. It will always be 13 hours and 18 minutes from 2600 to 2025. 13 hours and 18 minutes, 13 hours and 18 minutes, August in the year 2600, almost 600 years from now. The Day of Atonement, September the 24th, in the year 2025, September 2025, 24th of September 2025, there will always be 12 hours and 4 minutes in that day. It will never change. There will always be 12 hours and 4 minutes in that day. When you go to the year 2600, now remember, the last month was August. Here we are in September. It never changed. You can identify every single Hebrew date on the calendar. This is what Enoch knew. This is why the Essenes fought against them changing the calendars to the sliver moon idea, the moon worshiper, King Antiochus. This is what he was upset about. He knew this existed, and he knew they were going to worship on the wrong day. 12 hours and 4 minutes on the 24th in the year 2600. The same thing 500 years earlier. Nothing changes. That is assigned to that day. So if you say, I'm going to wait until the day has 12 hours and 16 minutes, you're going to be talking about September the 18th. There is no other day that has 12 hours and 16 minutes. Whatever your birthday is, that's your day. It never ever changes, ever. It will always have that much time in it. All right. Feast of Trumpets in 2025 is on September the 22nd and ends at nightfall on Wednesday, September the 24th. It's not Rosh Hashanah. Number one, Rosh Hashanah was moved in Exodus 12. It was moved to March, the head of the year. This is Feast of Trumpets alone, not Rosh Hashanah. Number two, Rosh Hashanah falls on September the 15th. That's when it is. That's when it falls. This, they're talking about here, is the Day of Atonement. This is the day I believe that Antichrist will reveal himself. What's very ironic about this year, from what I've noticed from other years, is that it is exactly in the beginning of the year, it was 14 days off. Now it's 10 days off because of the sliver moon, moving it back 5 days every 6 months. It's now 10 days off, which I find very interesting. In 2032, now this never happens. My timeline is always first. My timeline hits everything before anybody else's because I started the year on March 17th. They started the equinox is on September I'm sorry. I start on March 17th. The equinox starts on March 20th, I think, or 21st. And so there's by the time you get down to September 15th is Feast of Trumpets. How in the world did they wind up 9 days before me? I don't see how this could happen because they have to wait for the sun to be in a particular constellation, and then they wait for the sliver. I don't even know the amount of math you need to do to follow their calendar when anybody can go say, well, on this day, it will have 12 hours and 4 minutes in it. Anybody with a stick and a ground could figure that out, you know? And so I don't know how they wind up 9 days before mine. In the year 2032, Rosh Chodesh, Nisan 1, beginning of the Hebrew month of Nisan, which is Rosh Hashanah, they will begin it on March 12th. I begin it on March 17th. 5 days. How did they wind up another? Oh, because the moon. That's how they wound up another 5 days sooner. Because that's 5 days off. This is 10 days off. Yeah, that makes sense. It's 5 days too soon here. Can anybody figure out how in the world they performed this when March 17th lands always before anything they could do? So it's very unique. 2032 is a very strange year. It's a very, very strange year. All right. So am I done? I'll have a few more pictures there. Hold on a second. Okay. All right. I was talking with Kevin and said it feels lately kind of like we've been left alone. And I said that might be a good sign because God's been teaching us how to ride this bike for a very long time, but at some point he has to let go. And you're either gonna fall or you're gonna ride on, or you're gonna fall and not get back on the bike. Some people will were never really saved, will not get back on the bike just because we miss dates and we're looking so forward to an event taking place. When I hear people that have been watching for 3 years, I can't take it anymore. Listen, I've been doing this. I have been building timelines for 35 years, not as fervently as I have in the last 6 years. I built them, realized they were no good, threw it away, came back, heard another piece of information, tried to build it again couple years later, threw it away. I'd thrown away so many timelines. And so when I found this one, I had to make a YouTube channel and begin talking about it. Because if I had figured this out earlier, I'd have made a YouTube channel a long time ago. But I can't bring information to people that I don't wholeheartedly accept. I don't recall what this was about. I took this picture. Trump says, oh, that's right. He moved this deadline up 10 to 12 days. And I think it lands on a no day for me, but that doesn't mean anything. The rapture could occur at any moment. Nothing's stopping it from happening. 9 days hidden away. This is the land of Israel. They have a huge channel. They don't need my help. But if you're not subscribed, go listen to this one right here. 9 days hidden away 3,000 years ago in Torah. And it's a pretty good study that they did. So and it was about when Aaron died, which I already knew. It was already on the timeline, but it was still pretty cool to see that. So, all right, let me get off here. Um, go inside and upload this for everyone. Remember, very quickly, remember before you judge somebody that has messed up. John MacArthur messed up, but before you judge him, you would have to go back and judge Peter, one of the apostles that God chose. And I'm aware that God chose uh, Judas Iscariot. I'm aware of that, but he chose him for a different purpose. He did not choose Peter. He loved Peter. He didn't choose Peter to go through all that just so we could see leaven in his life and him not be a bride to be cast in the lake of fire. So to make the statement that these people and they're unsaved. Let's just say, for example, Peter's unsaved because he thought that you had to maybe he repented of that and he changed. Who knows? But he thought that there was some kind of work that the Gentiles had to do in order to be saved. He's adding leaven into what he was teaching, and it upset Paul quite a bit. And so, but to make the statement that the dead in Christ don't, that's the new favorite verse that I hear. No man knows the day or the hour, and it is appointed unto man but once to die. But people people been dying and being brought back to life since the medical field has exploded like it has in the last 40, 50 years. So that can't be right. That must be speaking to something else. You can't say, well, some people die. No, it's appointed unto man but wants to die in the lake of fire. Once you go there, you don't come out. That's what that verse means. So that being said, I have a feeling, and so far I haven't found anyone to correct me aside from that squawking that no man knows the day or the hour. It's appointed unto man but what's that? Besides repeating that verse over and over again, you don't have any basis in the Bible. I have plenty of verses that people have found in the Discord to support the concept that those people, it's not a second chance. It is the chance. There is a 2,000-year chance from when Jesus went to the cross to when Jesus returns on the Mount of Olives, his feet down, and calls and gathers up his elect. That's the chance. And it can't be ended because they physically died. I think they're brought back to life. Nobody has been able to discredit that properly yet, aside from the knee-jerk reactions. Anybody have anything biblically? And I like posing these kind of questions because it causes thought. And I like it when people get in and try to prove, and I'm disprove it. Go ahead, disprove it. But give me something I can chew on, something that says, no, once you're dead, you're done. You don't come back. There's, like I said, there's so many people who died needlessly just at the age of accountability or whatever. I mean, you name it. It happens every single day. He was driving on his way to church. He was going to accept the Lord. This is so cool. And he died. He had a car accident and he died. He didn't get to go up there. Talk about irony. No, I think that person comes back. They're going to go, oh Lord, and they're going to kneel straight down. They're going to realize, and I'm not fully convinced that this story isn't being told in Hades right now. I'm not thoroughly convinced that it's not being told. I think that just like we saw, and I think that's why we have the story of the man that's in the lower part of Hades. He was a bad man. He's not coming back, and he's told he's not coming back to warn anybody because the fire, he's thirsty. The fire's on him, but I think that because Jesus visited, that it's quite possible the gospel is there, and they know the second they are resurrected, they're brought back. They're not going to go up to heaven in a pre-tribulational rapture, but they will rise and drop straight to their knees and accept the Lord. If anybody can give me and like I said, they have found 20 verses to support that idea, and they have found 0 verses to go against that idea. If it's an idea that you don't like, first of all, look in the mirror and ask yourself why you don't like that idea. Like I said, this dispensation spans from Jesus on the cross to Jesus setting his foot on the Mount of Olives. That's where it spans to, not the rapture. The rapture is not the end of this dispensation. It is a different part of it, but show me where it isn't possible that all those dead who just didn't just poor John MacArthur, man. He just died. The rapture's going to happen any moment now, and he just died. And that guy doesn't get another chance. John MacArthur is done for. He's going to the lake of fire because he had leaven. You got to look in the mirror and ask yourself why you would support that idea without any biblical backing whatsoever. You just jump right on the bandwagon of, yeah, yeah, oh yeah, he's done. 50 years that guy put it. He had his doctrine wrong. He believed in leaven. He is a sleepy church. He is not and I'm not going to make that assertion either. I don't know whether or not he's saved. I'm not going to say that one. I am not going to say that one. But let's just say that's a prerequisite of being saved, is to know that salvation is of the Lord. That's got to be written somewhere. So anyway, Repo Man 64. Go to a quiet place by yourself. Nobody needs to know, and you don't need to tell anybody. Accept the Lord into your heart. You are out of time. You are out of time. There is no more time. I was listening to I'm Awake, Are You, Brian? I just love it when he talks about heaven because he just takes me there. So it's awesome. And you know something? We're already there. You understand that we are already there. When you go to heaven, and that's including the tribulation saints, the ones that think that they have to work for their salvation, the ones that aren't saved, but will realize that once the rapture occurs and they're still here, those people as well are included in this. When you get to heaven, you're no longer stuck in time. You can zip back. Think about a strange moment in your life where somebody walked up and said, "Hey, how you doing? You remember me?" And then just disappeared. It might have been you. That might have been you. That might have been you that did that. Uh, Time is a construct that we're stuck in here on earth, but not in heaven. So when I say we're already there, we are. And I might just pop into this room invisibly, I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't have the imagination Brian over at I'm Awake, Or You has, but imagine hopping in the room while I'm making one of these videos and me looking at me. I'll be 33, 6 foot tall, built like a brick house, and looking at the 6-year-old guy here trying to stumble his words together and remember names. So it's going to be something else. And so, like I said, to say we're already there, we're already there because we're not in time. We're not stuck in time. So if you're not stuck in time and you can come back to this moment at any time, we're not actually, I mean, we're actually here, but we're not actually here. If that makes sense. We're in heaven already. And it's too much for our human minds to wrap around, but that's the only way it can be explained. There is no other way it can be explained in that time is linear here, but it is not in heaven. It's eternal. There is no time. It's eternal. Just going back in time, just like even being like staying invisible, you know. I don't know about you, but I'd freak out if my 60-year-old self or even my 30-year-old heavenly self appeared to me when I was 7, trying to guide my 7-year-old self. Hey, stop eating so many chocolate bars. And I would be like, Dad, I don't know who this guy is. My dad would come after me and I'd be like, oh, look, it's just, you'd almost have to be invisible, right? You can't appear to yourself when you're 7, especially in today's day and age. That would really be bad. Appear in his room. Maybe back then, back in my day, well, no, my dad would have, nah, forget it. My dad would have tore you up if you appeared in one of his kids' rooms. Yeah, that would have been bad. That would have been really bad. That whole conversation just went really south there for a second. So I'm going to get off of that. I am not I don't have a good imagination like that, like Brian does. So, all right, let's keep watching. The rapture could happen at any moment. Earthquakes upticking like crazy, just crazy stuff going on. Remember, Satan wants to hide the rapture. He wants a plausible deniability excuse for when the rapture occurs so that he might even be able to confound the elect, the newly elect, those who drop to their knees, that he could confound them and confuse them at that moment so that they don't. He has but a short period of time. Like he might try to kill them all right back really quick. Like he might try to kill them all real quick. He might be trying to mark everybody that's here right now so he could tell them apart with some kind of, I don't know, some kind of crazy mRNA vaccine or something. I don't know. So that he could detect who's who and get rid of them real quick, you know? He doesn't want their story getting around. Just like when Lazarus, remember when Lazarus was raised from the dead? It speaks that the Pharisees were trying to get to him to kill him. They needed to do it quickly. Maybe that's what that story is all about. Why they said, maybe that's why the Bible talks about that story, because they needed Lazarus to die really quick so that, because raising somebody from the dead is the ultimate proof of God right there. That's the ultimate proof of God. It wasn't very far after that that they killed Jesus. Remember, Lazarus was raised to the dead from the dead on March 20th, and on March 30th, Jesus was on the cross 10 days later. So find that very interesting. That's something to think about, something to study on. You know, the Pharisees were trying to kill him right away. So it could almost be said, I wonder what the Pharisees did about all those that were dead and that rose with Christ, all those who had died for the past 4,000 years that heard the gospel of Jesus. Hey, I brought my witness with me. He was on the cross. Yep, he certainly died on a cross. He says he's the Son of Man. I heard about all these miracles he did. He is the Son of God. And so again, I brought my witness. How many will follow me now? Like at Mount Sinai, when Moses said, who will follow the golden calf and who will follow the pillar of fire that's going to consume you? Oh, we're going to follow the golden calf. You got to be kidding me right now. So they follow the golden calf, and what happens? The earth opens up and swallows them, right? So a similar thing, you know, Satan has got to get rid of these people really quick. He can't have that kind of evidence running around going, I was dead 2,000 years ago. I died 1,500 years ago. And they're all dressed up because everybody goes to the grave. I would imagine. I mean, you have to get your body fixed. You don't have an eternal glorified body, but your body's got to be able to walk around. You're not going to be a zombie. That's just what the movies tell us. But I think that's why the movies talk about zombies. I think they've been telling us that this event is coming. And what's okay to do to a zombie without any repercussion? Kill them, shoot them, kill them. Don't kill a zombie. They just died 1,500 years ago. All they have to do is accept the Lord, offer them before you kill them. I, tongue in cheek, I'm joking, but at least offer them to accept the Lord first before you do something crazy like that. So yeah, no, Satan's going to try to get rid of them. He doesn't need that kind of evidence walking around. If that's true, if that's actually true that all those people rise, he doesn't want that kind of evidence. Just like the Pharisees didn't all want Lazarus walking around, didn't want that kind of evidence. Yeah, get rid of that stuff. So anyway, that's something to think about. All right, YouTube, Repo Man 64. We will chat with you again later. I got to work for the next 4 days, but then I'm off. So if something huge pops up, I'm not working a day schedule, then a night schedule, then a morning schedule, then a day. They had my, now I'm working just day schedule. So I should be able to come out here and do this again if something pops up. All right. We'll chat with you all again later.